Okay. Enough of these nightmares and enough of this love talk, okay? Here's something that can be weird or something that may or may not surprise you. A survey of over 2,000 Americans were asked to choose the 5 rudest cities in the United States. The results may or may not shock you, but the #1 rudest city of all time happens to be New York City, New York.
How do you feel?
It's not surprising to me at all.
Right, okay.
But what is surprising to me is that Los Angeles came in at #2. I couldn't believe it myself.
I personally, I'm not surprised, only because it's like New York people are rude in one way and like Los Angeles people are rude in another way. Like New York people, like they're just like blatantly rude. They're like, oh, get out my way or whatever. Like Los Angeles people, like they're more like subliminally rude. They're like, oh, girl, you ain't get your hair done in a minute, have you? Like they're like ask little stuff like that. Like they're like really like, things out there are very like materialistic. Like you have to look good all the time. So it's like, you get called out really quick if you're looking like a little off or whatever. So that's like how I feel like they're rude. It's like a little bit more like. Well,
in New York City, you got the rudest people on there that are like really impatient. Like the time I was on the subway, I was trying to take a seat and try to take my bag off. This person next to me, like, hey, yo, move your bag. I'm like, bitch, please be patient.
Did you really say that to yourself? I would hope not. I was gonna say like, oh my.
But yeah.
But #3 is Washington. That one I'm mostly surprised about. I have never heard of Washington being rude. I didn't know that people were even rude in Washington. Like, what do you have to be rude about?
I barely heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, like that's what I'm mostly surprised about. Like, you never been to Washington before? Have you ever been there before?
I go to Washington almost every year.
Oh, okay.
So I got family that lives there. I got family that lives all over the place, from Washington to Virginia to Los Angeles, California.
Everywhere.
Anything else I'm missing? I guess not.
But you're surprised though that it was on #3?
I was surprised with numbers 2 and 3, but not surprised about #1 because obviously we are New Yorkers. Well, you're in from Jersey, but you will know how New Yorkers can be here, as must I, and it's ridiculous.
I agree.
Oof. But is there any other city that you see there that's
I'm like over here
shocking?
looking at them. I'm like, I'm mostly looking at the top like 10 because I'm like anything past the top 10, I'm kind of like, you know, it's just people kind of like with their opinions, kind of. But
well, here's something now.
Detroit, Michigan. I mean, that's understandable.
Detroit, Michigan. You mentioned.
I've never been there.
I got something here that may be interesting. The 11.6% of respondents thought Detroit had the rudest inhabitants, where a McDonald's employee in Detroit was almost tasered by over an incident in June, wherever this was here, and also a woman in the wheelchair ordered a meal, then fired her taser at an employee because she said her order was taking too long and alleged that her staff was being rude.
I literally just talked about this earlier. Like the most ratchet fights happen in McDonald's. If somebody ever wants to fight you in McDonald's, just leave. Like I've seen way too many people getting beat up in McDonald's in videos. Like honestly, so maybe it wasn't Detroit. Maybe it was the fact that she was in McDonald's. But either way, that sounds insane.
This is not the Jerry Springer show. What y'all crazy people doing here? Come on. You're tasing people just over
right? Like tasing. Like that's insane.
My goodness. I'm just about to go this. There we go. I'm like, ah.
But if you ever did want a taser, I mean, they got them on Amazon. You know, just gonna throw it out there. But
listen, girl, I ain't interested in buying no taser, no nothing. I am interested in taking this out of the segment.
But you're in the rudest city of New York, so you might need it. And now you're like, nah, I'm good, okay.
We'll be right back. I am done with this conversation here.